What is going
What's that book you've been reading about?
It's about heroes who get to go on adventures.
Wanna be
They
those
make monsters.
things, trying hard to be someone
everything.
else. All we want is please, giving no time to breathe. This is our identity. We turn our backs, we can't help, we're gone. This is our identity.
We lose ourselves in the spirit of things. We lose ourselves.
What is going on, guys? We are ready for some MLB. Last night we had our first opening night breakdown. Hopefully you guys made it there for the live stream that was public. If you didn't, it's okay. You have the Patreon cheat sheet. This is an exclusive Patreon live stream. Only the Patreon members should be in here. If you are not a Patreon member, you will be found and you will be killed. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the content last night. I'm going to show you with big slates how to put it all together. Last night, if you struggled, do not worry. I'll put you on track today. We will be fine. We will weather the storm. We will make some money. And quite frankly, we should be taking down every slate with all this info here, okay? If you guys can hear me, let me know. I'm going to be turning down the tunes here in just a second. Also, I want to let you guys know how thankful I am because I have been putting out content all day for MMA, for MLB, for the live stream, for League of Legends, which honestly the leverage sheet has been crushing it. And what's going on, guys? I want you guys to be asking questions about every slate in here, exposure settings. I'm going to be doing specifically MLB, but again, if you guys grasped the information that I've been putting out for League of Legends, for NBA, for CSGO, it doesn't matter what sport it is. If you guys get the general understanding of every single, or if you get the understanding of how I put together my leverage sheet and what that means, you can create lineups for any single contest for any sport. I'm going to leave this video up, okay? This is a Patreon exclusive video, but that doesn't mean that the public doesn't have access to it. But guess what? The public doesn't have access to our leverage sheet because the leverage sheet is the most important thing. If you are using the ownership projections right and playing your cards right in every single contest, you can take it down. We saw SO4 take down G2 earlier. Guess what? They had a 16% chance to win. The haters said it wasn't going to happen. 16% chance, though. Spin a spinner, lands on 16%. Think about it, 16%. It's not that big of a deal, okay? If it did happen, you're getting guys at 1%. Right now, I'm in 1 through 20 because I was the only person that stacked SO4. They happen to be the high-scoring person on the slate, and because of that, I'm reaping the benefits. You have to wait for the leverage to hit, and when it does, you take down slates, and you take them down in an impressive manner. Okay? What's going on, guys? Also, the streams should not drop anymore, okay? We should be completely fine going forward. I got my new setup. I got my new computer. I'm turning down the music. I'm sorry about that. So let's do this thing, all right? Let's talk about MLB in the advanced settings, all right? If you guys have any questions, please ask the questions in the chat. Maurice, man, that's amazing. Hopefully you make the money back from tonight from winning this. Now, this is an 11-game slate, okay? Keep that in mind. This is a big slate. So guess what? Leverage is going to play the biggest factor in tonight, okay? The biggest factor. We have 11 teams to choose from. Everybody, let's pull up our cheat sheets. I know you have them on Patreon, and let's walk through this. Yes, I know lineups have been updated. Yes, I know that they are not updated on the sheet. It's okay. Do not panic. Let's pretend. Let's just pretend for a moment that all the lineups are the same and everything I posted before hasn't changed. Let's just talk about this. Okay? I know, guys. The leverage doesn't make sense until it does. And then when it does, you look like a genius. When it doesn't happen more often than not. So when it doesn't and you lose money, you think it's the wrong process. The process is right. You just have to be patient. Okay, that is the biggest DFS 101 tip I can give you. Patience. It will pay off. The highest projecting team on MLB will not score the highest projected the highest projected runs every single night. It won't happen, okay? If you look at Boston tonight, 6.06 projected runs. A team like, I don't know, let's say the Dodgers could put up easily more. Let's look at another team. Oakland could easily put up more. Philly could easily put up more than Boston. But guess what? We're looking at 20 through 42% worth of the shares coming from Boston when there's 22 teams on the slate, and you're telling me you're that confident that nearly almost half the field will have a player from Boston? You're that confident that that team will put up the highest scoring runs on a 22-team slate? Come on. Think about it. I mean, the percentages don't make sense. Why is Boston so high owned? And they are by far the most inflated team on the slate. I'm not just saying that because I'm an Orioles fan. I'm saying that because the percentage ownership tells me that. Look at this. You look at their projections. I mean, oh, by the way. I'm going to ignore the chat just for a second. I see some funny comments in there. Weighted on-base average and ISO are not updated. I do understand that. And yes, they will not be updated until the first 10 games of the season. You guys have to trust the projections in front of you. Weighted on-base average and ISO, I don't feel comfortable putting the 2019 data in there. Quite frankly, because they were way off from last game, and I get that it's volatility, but I'm not going to put them in there until we have some data. Okay, projections are coming straight from the industry, and these are the projections that the industry is looking at. So if they're looking at this, they're thinking Bogarts and Devers are going to be the highest scoring players on the slate. Jock Peterson. Okay, you just have to trust that. Okay, I'm not going to put this in here, quite frankly, because it's too much work to hand dig all of these data points. I mainly have to put them in. They're not updated for the 2020 season, so I can't go back and upload them that quickly. Okay, it's more. Is it worth it? No, it's not worth it. I get it. It's very appealing. If you guys want, join the live stream later. I'll show you the play that queue, and we can go through weighted on base average and ISO. Okay, it's really not that important. All right. So I just got done rambling about Boston, how they're not that how they are a very inflated team. That being said, you play them in cash, you play them in small GBPs. I'm talking below 10 people, because guess what? Those people in GBPs will try to get cute. Those people won't play Boston. Yes, there are still casuals in those GBPs that try to get fancy, play their favorite players, play players all over the place. You have to play at least some hedge spots. You have to play Boston in small GBPs. Boston still should put up a good amount of runs, but in big GBPs, in these medium to big size GBPs, Boston probably won't be. There's a low percentage chance that they're going to be the optimal high scoring team. Okay, so what do we do with that information once we have it? We know that Boston is highly inflated. We know that some of these other teams are going overlooked or underlooked, or flying under the radar. Arizona, I mean, they have no ownership. Why don't these guys have ownership? They're going against Paddock. Paddock's not that good. He didn't have a good season last season. There's no ownership on these guys. Definitely a great team to look at for GBPs. Another team, Colorado. I talked about them actually in the video, not knowing that they were actually projected at 4.28 runs and actually keeps going up. They have some good players in their lineup. Why not? Why not take a shot on them? Okay, we look down here. We look at the White Sox, who actually I think happen to be the best leverage spot. Let's look. Yes, they are the best leverage spot. So I also include this column, and we just touch base on this real quick. 1 through 5. We're showing the 1 through 5 spot. Pretty self-explanatory. It basically shows you your studs of the team if you're stacking 1 through 5. Gives you a good idea of like the front base of the lineup if you're going that route. Who has the best chance or the lowest amount of ownership and is the best leverage. So Arizona in that sense is actually the best. So if you look, Marte, Escobar, Peralta, Walker, they're all fantastic leverage spots tonight. But yeah, I mean, let's get back on track here. So we're looking down here. We know that Casey versus Bieber is going to be a good leverage spot. Yeah, they probably shouldn't do that well because it is Bieber. But do you know what? They're still carrying 0 ownership. They put up 5 runs. That's still pretty good leverage, right? I mean, we keep going down here. What do we do with this data once we have it? Okay, where are the advanced settings coming in? Now, the good thing about MLB is that the ownership is so spread out that we can use this to our advantage. Like I said, small GBPs, we are playing still the high-owned guys, right? But then once it starts to spread out, we start to get a little different. The more the bigger the contest sizes are, we start to be a little bit more different. So let's talk about this. And let's say 30-man GPPs. We play maybe let's stack 4 high-owned Boston guys. But how about this? Let's throw maybe 1 or 2 Arizona guys in here. Because guess what? If they go over this low projected run total, let's say they score 5-6 runs, guess what? You're going to automatically shoot to the top of these GBPs. Let's do a Boston and Arizona stack. Why not? Okay? Maybe that's a little too aggressive, but let's say get a little bit more different with another conservative team like Houston. Let's maybe put a low-end Houston guy that's really good, that's in a really good leverage spot. James McCann happens to be a good one. Bregman is in a very good leverage spot. Why? Because he's probably too expensive, and he's sitting in the 5th spot. Okay? Yeah, I haven't even touched base on pitchers yet. I'll get to them in just a second. All right, let's play the 2 chalky pitchers. Let's go a little bit of Boston. Let's throw in some low-owned GBP guys. This is how you differentiate yourself. Let's talk about advanced settings now. Let's talk about it. All right. So we have all of our teams that we want. Let's just talk about small GBPs. Let's do that. Okay. One thing I like to do is I like to get a baseline lineup. Benchmark lineup, baseline lineup, same difference. And I like to crunch it by ownership projection. Let's move this up here if you guys can't see. I don't think you guys can see. Hold on. Can I move this up? I got an itch on my nose. I promise I'm not picking my nose. All right. I don't think you guys can see the bottom, and I don't know how to fix that. Whatever. I have a tab here where I can crunch by ownership projection. You guys need to upload your projections to your Fantasy Cruncher tool or whatever. If you're using RotoGrinder, same difference. But you upload your projections. You guys should know how to do that by now. If you don't, you go up to upload data, and you copy and paste all the names, and you put the projection here. You have to Control V. You can't actually physically right click and click copy. It won't let you copy and paste. And then you click upload projections. It uploads them. All right. Yeah, feel free to ask all your questions. I'll get to them in just a second. But right now, I'm crunching one lineup by ownership projection. Let's see what this looks like. I should see a lot of Boston Red Sox, and I should see Nola, Verlander, some of the top pitchers on the list, which I've already posted. Because this right here is crunched by ownership, okay? I don't care about how good the players are, and it happens to be a 5-3 stack, which is very interesting. Usually you don't get that, especially on a 11-game slate. This might change. Ownerships will change, and I'll update it. So let's look at this baseline lineup, okay? An easy way to do this is obviously crunch by ownership, and then based on the contest size, you think, how can I differentiate myself? Okay, let's stick with the 5-man stack. Look, Boston's lineups just got confirmed. Refresh. They should all be in there. Let's go ahead and recrunch it. Good timing. All the lineups are coming out really early, which is actually pretty cool. And it actually didn't change, so all those guys are actually in there. Let's talk about this. If we're playing small GBPs and we're talking 1 through 10 people, first of all, this should be your lineup. You don't want to fade the chalk in those lineups. But once you go out, let's start looking at how we do that. What I like to do, I'm sorry, the Baltimore lineup just got released. Let's go ahead and crunch 500 lineups. You can do this based on my projections. That's fine. I'm going to do it based on ownership projections. Okay? I'm not saying I'm throwing 500 lineups in here. Let's go ahead and talk about the advanced stacks here. We are doing a 5-man stack. That's what we're doing. And yes, Fantasy Cruncher got updated yesterday. I had to look at this for a little bit before I understood it. But all you do is you change this to 5. Okay? Including batters batting, it should all be preset to 1 through 9, and then included positions C through OF, obviously not the pitchers checked. All right, and then what we're going to do, I'm not even looking at stacking exposures yet. I'm not even doing, by the way, limit opposing players, you're going to make 0. I'm not even looking at my leverage stacks yet. We're just working out from our cash lineup, our small GBPs, all the way up through the big GBPs, okay? I'm going to put my randomness at 500% because I know I can actually get away with 1,000 if I wanted to. But let's go ahead and do 500 just because we're focusing on smaller GBPs. Right now, I'm not looking at my exposures. Right now, I'm talking about one single lineup, and we're working our way up in single entry GBPs on how to differentiate ourselves. All right, let's calculate this. Let's just see what these look like. Okay. It's funny because I set my randomness to 500% and I'm still getting 82% Pereza. Why is that a thing? Why is he so high owned? Why are the Boston Red Sox so high owned? We're going to crunch 500 lineups here, and I'll show you what to do. So keep in mind that the cash lineup here had a combined ownership of 269.8. Let's go ahead and make it simple, round up to 270. The combined ownership of the chalk lineup on this slate had a 270% ownership combination. Is that right? Yeah, 270%. Okay, so now let's look at this. Let's go ahead. And again, you can input my ownership projections as actual projections for the players. So, like real quick, I'll run through that. If you go to upload data and you put the players here, and then you take the ownerships and you actually put them in as a projection, the ownership percentages, put them in as a projection, click upload projections, and it will get the same thing. Okay? So now what we're going to do is sort lineups by ownership. For me, for you guys, if you don't have the full package for FC, you sort by my projected, since you'll be uploading the ownerships as projections. Okay? Does that make sense? So let's go ahead and sort by ownership. We get the same lineup here at the top. And then the further we scroll down, we get a little bit more different based on ownership. Look, Joey Gallo's in here with Nola. Flattery or whatever his last name is. I forgot, whatever his last name is. We get a combination that's a little different the more you go down here. All right, how different do you get? A golden rule I like to use is this, and you guys heard me talk about it a little bit in Discord. Okay, listen to this. I'm about to drop a golden nugget here. Okay, let me explain this. Okay, pick a contest size. Let's pick a contest right now. Oh, I just found one. Okay, it's 30 people. 30 people in size. What you're going to do is take the size of that contest. This is just a good rule of thumb. This is something I've always done. The size of that contest, divide it by 2. So that would be 15. Subtract 270, which is the benchmark, minus 15. Math, guys, it's hard. 255. That's right, 255. Okay? And that is a lineup that can differentiate yourself enough to take down the 30-person GPP. We're going to look for a combined ownership of 255. 255 range. It doesn't have to be exactly 255, or it could be a little bit above. But this lineup right here, starting at 255, this would be a great GPP option. Let's think about it. Why? Because Dahl here is very low owned. He's starting in the 1 spot, but nobody's going to play him because he's playing for Colorado. He's really low owned. That could be a good gem. One thing you can do before you crunch all these lineups and get different is lock in maybe some of your favorite leverage spots. So let's work backwards. We're going to talk about this in just a second, but we're going to work backwards in just a moment. All right, so this lineup would be good for a small 30-person GPP. Let's say we're entering a 100-person GPP. Let's do it. 100-person. Divide that by 2, that's 50. Okay, subtract 270 minus 50, 220. Okay, scroll down to find a combined ownership of 220. Again, I'm looking for, there it is. I'm looking for lineups that could possibly push me to the top. We already know that the Oakland A's are in a good leverage spot. This is a good lineup right here. I don't know about the Twins, but what you can do is you can also kind of mix and match players in here. So, like, let's say I want to put Chris Davis in there. It's going to definitely take down the ownership. But this is the only you can literally still 5-man stack Boston, get a little different, and still take down the 100-person GPP. What people don't understand in MLB is if you make the smallest tweak and you stay close to the chalk, it will shoot you to the top of GPPs because the ownership never makes sense in MLB. Never. Okay? Let's talk about 1,000 because this 1,000-person contest or 50,000-person contest, yes, that never makes sense when you do my strategy. When you subtract or when you divide 1,000 by 2, you get 500, right? And then you subtract 270 minus 500. That doesn't make sense, right? Well, then you got to think, let's use strictly leverage stacks, get the closest that we can to 0% ownership, going back to our leverage sheet, and then that's where you play 5-man stack Arizona guys. You play 5-man stack Chicago guys. You play the guys that are virtually unowned, the closest you can get to 0. I'm not saying play completely contrarian, But you can play pretty contrarian in those, okay? I just say this is a good rule of thumb because some people try to get too aggressive in switching up their lineups and being too different in GPPs. You guys are scaring me because now you're really quiet. Is everybody on the same page? Does that make sense? Hopefully that nugget helped. Hopefully that helped. Because that's what I do to get a little different. And then you can use a combination of leverage and ownership, and then looking at contest size and selection, combining all that into one, playing it, and hopefully taking down a GPP. Then the rest is up to watching baseball. You get to sit back, enjoy some baseball. Please don't ever just put in one lineup because that's not the way to play DFS anymore. It's 2020. Play multiple lineups, at least two. At least hedge yourself. Okay? Please spam the chat. The chat actually froze last night. So I'm afraid it's doing it to me now. If you guys are asking questions, I think it might have froze actually, so that's kind of scary. Nope, it didn't freeze. You guys are just sleeping on me. You guys are still awake, right? All right, cool. There we go. I have to leave it up to the mod to get the chat rolling. Would you recommend taking the chalk with your 5-man leverage stack or just going all in on the leverage? Would you recommend taking the chalk with your 5-man? Again, man, it all depends on the ownership. So, like, for instance, if I'm talking about a 30-person GPP, it really does matter. It's just all about the ownership, the physical ownership. If you're talking about a 30-person GPP, like I just said, it made sense to stick to the chalk stack and then differentiate yourself in one, maybe two spots in MLB. Okay? So let's start crunching. Let's go more advanced. Let's work backwards. Okay. You're still here. All right, cool. And we're going to talk about that, man. We are going to talk about big GPPs today. All right? We're going to talk about how to do this. Now let's start getting into exposures because now we're going to be picking out lineups, right? If we're playing a big GPP, and let's say we've already got our Boston stacks in there, we've got our pretty close to chalky stacks of, let's say, I know that Philly's pretty chalky. I think that the Dodgers were pretty chalky. Let's say we got those and we're working our way up. We entered our lineups into our small GPPs, medium or small to medium, and now we're looking at taking down the multi-million-dollar contest. I think there's a $250,000 contest still. All right, and we're looking at our leverage stacks. Now let's look at this. Something that's going to take it down is going to be 5-man leverage stacks, right? And these low-owned ones. We're looking to take down this contest with 50,000 people. All right, well, Arizona is definitely in the mix. Baltimore is definitely in the mix. All right? Boston's obviously not in there. I mean, Chicago is in there, definitely. I'd say these guys, Cleveland, probably not. But again, you're looking for these very low-owned stacks, and that's where you start to set your exposures. Depending on how many lineups you enter into those contests, let's say 20 people. Let's just say you're entering 20 lineups, okay? Come on, I'm waiting for my page to upload or update. Let's go back to advanced settings, and now we're going to be setting exposures, right? We're not setting player exposures. That's not what we're doing. We're setting exposures, let's say for 20 people or for a 20 lineup competition contest. All right, we're going back to team stacks. And then this is where you set your exposures for 5 people, right? You're not talking about your overall exposures to people. You're talking about your 5-man stacks. So remove all teams, add all teams. Yeah, you can set it here. I haven't figured out this new system. I believe there's a way to zero out everything. There has to be a better way. Hold on. Exposures 0. Boom. Yeah, there was. Okay, I'm an idiot. I'm looking at this for the fourth time now, and I haven't really messed with it. So we're looking at a 20 lineup competition. Let's just hypothetically say we're entering 50,000 people. Okay. You're gonna pick your teams. You're gonna pick your leverage spots. I'm gonna put this aside. I don't see the chat right now. I'm gonna include Arizona in here. Arizona is one of my favorites because they're very low owned. Baltimore's in there. Yes, I know they probably won't do it. I know, guys. Shut up. We're looking at 5-man stacks. Chicago actually has a real chance to be in there tonight. Okay, so we're putting them. Why am I setting them to 10%? You got to add up to about 100%, okay, by the time you're done. I'll figure that out in just a second. Colorado, definitely in there. White Sox. Was that 5 teams so far? That's 50%. I'll adjust it after I'm done. Math, guys. It's hard. I know. We're going to be fading Houston because they're a little inflated. Kansas City. I like Kansas City. Let's go ahead and make them. No, I'm not updating them right now. Not in the middle of this. Let's go ahead and do Kansas City. LA. It's in a decent spot. I think we're at 70%. Let's scroll down. Let's go ahead and throw Oakland in there. Oakland. Let's go ahead and throw a couple more in there. Oakland and let's say Milwaukee. Milwaukee's flying under the radar too. The Chicago-Milwaukee game is flying under the radar. And the A's. The A's are always fun to play. All right. So what I just did is again, you can adjust your exposures as much as you want. Obviously, I'd probably increase this if I'm playing more than 20 lineups. Actually, I'll probably do it a little bit more anyway. 15. 15. 15. 15. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's try crunching again. Let's see if we get a little bit more. Yeah, so we got a little bit more. So what you're doing at this point is you're mixing in your leverage stacks with some chalk. So keep in mind that you're essentially, you're not limiting your upside, but you're grabbing that ownership that would normally scare you away. But you're also using an aggressive leverage stack. Why am I getting a 5-man Baltimore? Okay, I don't know why that first one's Baltimore. But this is the strategy. So now you have all these 5-man stacks that are strictly your leverage spots. Okay, you strictly have Chicago. You have Milwaukee. Actually, if you go to team stacks here, you can see the players that we have here. So all of these, and then you can handpick from them. As you guys saw, if I limit it to 10% across the board, it put out exactly 19 lineups. Just increases a little bit. But now you're grabbing all your leverage spots, and then when one of those leverage spots hit, you're guaranteeing that you're getting the lowest bottom of the barrel ownership, and it's going to shoot you to the top if one of those stacks does pay off. If it doesn't, and the chalk hits, like last night, the Dodgers, if it hits, you're going to cash in your small GPPs, you're going to cash in your cash games if you play that, and those smaller to medium-sized GPPs. And again, that little golden nugget that I dropped earlier, that helps decide what kind of contest you're going to play and how much you differentiate yourself. I'm talking about the massive 50,000 people contest right now. Okay, this is the only way that you're going to take down a GPP. Otherwise, you're contesting with a bunch of other people that have high-owned guys. Can you imagine if I went 100% on Boston Red Sox right now? You'd be competing with so much of the field. You'd have to bank on them, first of all, being the optimal stack. Second of all, then having the right combination in your 3-man stack. Good luck, and pitchers. And then it just becomes a complete mess after that point. Why not just bank on the lower leverage, low-owned guys, hoping that they are in the optimal, which happens more often than not. You guys will see it. Tonight is going to be the night where some random team appears in the optimal you would not expect. Some really weird team. Baltimore, Milwaukee, Arizona, Oakland, all those teams could easily do it. Mike Trout is a stud. The Angels could easily do it. He hits a grand slam, drives in 4 runs, and they just get a relay going, and then it's all... I mean, think about it. All these guys are coming back from a pandemic, too. If there's not a chance that would happen any other time, it's going to be tonight. All right? So, MLB can be messy, but it's also a lot of messiness that you can contain with your builds. 5-man stack. Look for the leverage spots, not too much leverage. I gave you guys that strategy. Pick the size of the contest, divide by 2, then subtract it from the benchmark, which happens to be 270% ownership right now as we speak. And then that's how you determine how to differentiate yourself enough in each contest. With baseball, it is so important because so many people try to stray away from the chalk and would stack a leverage stack in a 10-man GBP. That's not the way to do it. Yeah, it then comes down to luck at that point. It's not so much strategy. Okay? But that is how you do it. And the only way you're going to get to that point is by finding the actual leverage and having the sheet available for you and utilizing it. You guys can't ignore the leverage sheet if you're going to take down GBPs. You can't do it. Don't play Boston tonight. At least 5-man stacks. Do not play them. Please don't. If they are in the optimal stack, chalk it up as an L. Collect your funds in those small GBPs and move on to the next slate. All right? Right now, I'm winning $1,300 because I played SO4 and nobody else would off of $90. You guys will do that. As long as the volatility happens, you guys can make money as long as you play the leverage spots correctly, okay? That's how you do it. That's just how you do it. You have to play contrarian. Feel free to ask any questions, guys. I think I pretty much covered it. Now, again, the smaller the contest size get, the less aggressive you have to be and the less spots you have to differentiate yourself. Can you play 5-3 stacks? 5-3 stacks are actually preferred because then you can target 2 teams that are the outliers. If you guys don't know how to do it, you go back to advanced settings here. And then what you would do is create a new stack, and then you would tag this as a 3, because there's 5 and then 3. I think are the maximum roster spots. I don't know why this is giving me trouble. My fantasy cruncher is lagging. Hopefully that's not the new update. What is going on here? There we go. All right, so if you guys go back here, I don't think I had any percent ownership, or I don't think I had any exposures on the 3-man, so let's see how this appears. So what you'll see is you'll get some low-owned stacks here with Boston. You'll probably get Boston the majority of these, San Diego, the A's, Boston. I mean, all these look a lot cleaner just because they're 5-3. All right. Yeah, man, absolutely. Appreciate you guys showing up, and we will be starting a live stream here in about an hour, 30 minutes with TJ. I do suspect him to get on. But any more questions? I feel like you guys are just taking down notes, and you're secretly not. I feel like you guys are getting it, or you're not getting it at all, and you just don't know what to ask. Hopefully, it's the first option. Oh, let's talk about pitchers. So pitchers, again, it's all about ownership. Pitchers, some people tend to get too cute with pitchers. They think that the lower owned GBP target is definitely with the pitcher. I can tell you one thing right now. Pitching does not make that much of a difference in GBPs. It only makes a difference if you have the exact same stack as somebody, and that's where you differentiate yourself. But usually with the lower owned stacks, you don't need to get different in the pitcher spot as well. Okay? If you're going to be playing a full-on Boston Red Sox stack and you want to differentiate yourself in the pitcher position, by all means, feel free to do that. But pitching, I'm telling you right now, if you're talking about volatility, the pitcher spot really isn't as volatile as the hitters. Okay? People overcomplicate pitching. They think that pitching has such a big plays a big factor in your stacks. I can tell you right now, you're either going to score 50 points on the night or you're going to score 250, and it's not going to be because of the pitcher. It's going to be because of the bulk of your hitting, and your stacks. So, does the strategy change in single entry GPPs considering everyone will take chalk? Again, depending on size. 500 single entry GPP. Again, you are taking leverage in those contests. 100%. You're taking the leverage spots. Let's say 100 person GPP. You're differentiating yourself by 50%. All right, because you divide that by 2 and you subtract 270 minus 50, and then you're looking at a lineup that's going to be sitting around 220 ownership. Okay, that's how much you're going to differentiate yourself, and then you scroll down to the lineup, and then you start looking at it, and you're like, all right, well, is this a good leverage spot? Like, does this person make sense? If the answer is yes, then you should probably play that lineup in a single entry 100-person GPP. And it looks like some players are dropping out here, so I think I pretty much covered everything. I know pitching. I know you guys are like frustrated because you want to hear more on pitching, and I get that. Pitching is like one of the most favorite things to watch in all of baseball, but in DFS, they really don't matter as much. I don't want to say they don't matter, but they don't matter as much as the hitters. Okay, so many people are going to stack Verlander, Nola, and who was the other guy that I listed? I remember the chalks. Bieber. Those 3 pitchers are going to be used so much. So just do that and then differentiate yourself with the stacks, because that is where the volatility comes from. All right? Not the pitching. Yeah, man. Again, and the thing with MLB is like you have to spend like 30 minutes to an hour every single day to get your lineups correct and then entering in the correct contest. You have to get that part right. All right, you have to spend some time with these. You can't just start crunching out lineups and putting them in every contest and hoping it hits. I used to do that. It doesn't work. And I'm also not saying take dumb pitchers. I'm saying from an ownership perspective, it doesn't make that much of a difference. Like, I'd rather take a really bad pitcher that could potentially give me 6 to 10 points than an elite pitcher that could give me 20 to 30, when I could just take a very low-owned stack, save a ton of money, and then have that stack score a tremendous amount of more points than another stack, because there's so much volatility in those positions than there are in pitching. And heck, the lower-owned GPP target for a pitcher could easily outscore an ace. It happens sometimes. Johnny Cueto was on a good roll at the beginning of the game yesterday, and I was like, wow, I look like a mastermind, saying that Cueto was a good GPP play. And it does happen sometimes. Yeah, he didn't continue his success. But, I mean, it does happen. It happens more often than not, actually. Verlander, with that being said, Verlander is one of the best pitchers, and he usually isn't for DK scoring. So that should be one of the top pitchers tonight. Nola's pretty good. Do you ever delete any pitchers out of the player pool or just let it choose it on its own? I don't usually. What I will do is like big GPPs here, so we can talk about that real quick. If the overrating, so Henny is actually pretty overrated in terms of ownership, I might get rid of him. Like, why is he? Oh, hold on. Why didn't you guys tell me my sheet was messed up? There we go. Why is Henny set 15% owned and he's going against, was it Oakland? Yeah, that's not a good matchup. Last time I checked. I might exclude him from like big GPPs. Evoldi, he actually might not have the best game. He's actually not that great of a pitcher. Okay, I know Orioles stink, but he's actually not that great. Evoldi might struggle. I might get rid of him from the player pool. Marquez might not make it in. But these are big contests, okay? And that's why these ownership and overratings play so much. Again, it really depends. It really depends. I usually don't. A short-term answer there. Do you include the pitcher on a 5-3? No. So pitchers are never included in stacks. They have no correlation with the team hitting success. And opposing or a pitcher, like let's say for the Red Sox, Evoldi is not included in my 3 or 5 man stack. It has nothing to do with the pitching success, or The pitching success has nothing to do with the hitting success. Okay? All right, let me scroll up here and see if I missed any questions. I'll go ahead and end it. I just got put in the doghouse because I told my wife I couldn't go to the market because Matt was on. That's funny. Oh, yeah, don't get in any relationship trouble because of me. Please. All right. I think we're good. I have no more questions coming in. I mean, I pretty much covered the basis of it. There's like little things here and there I probably could have touched base on. I'll cover all those things. Get aggressive with your leverage stacks. When one of these appears in the optimal and you didn't stack them, that's on you guys. Okay? You played the slate wrong if you're stacking Boston tonight in big GBPs. I'm just saying that right now. You're playing the slate wrong. You are not playing your cards right. You're playing the leverage tonight and big GBPs. For small GBPs, yes, you're playing Boston. You're playing San Diego. You're playing those high-owned guys. And then you're starting to differentiate yourself the further it goes out. All right? All right, guys. With that being said, I'll see you at the stream hopefully at 5:30, about an hour and 30. I've been talking all day on all my videos. I'm probably losing my voice at this point. I do apologize if you didn't get all your questions answered. I will answer them. With that being said, guys, have a great rest of your day, and let's cash.
There's a distance between us. It's getting hard to reach out. Haven't seen you in seasons, but all I hear is your voice. I know my limits. You can break me down, but I'll stay till the finish line. And I've been counting minutes for quite some time now, just to see you again. And I've been counting days to get away, to see you again, see you again. Been fighting ways to get away, to see you again, see you again. We got millions of reasons